Today, we'll continue our conversation about phrases by looking at gerund phrases. Gerunds are a type of verbal, and a verbal is something that's sometimes tricky in a sentence because it looks like a verb, but it's not actually acting like one. So verbals actually act as different parts of speech, and that's the verbal itself. When we're talking about phrases, we're talking about the verbal plus any of its modifiers. So you can remember verbals by the acronym PIG. It stands for participial, infinitive, and gerund. So a participial verbal would be like the purple example below. I said the running water sounds calming. In that case, running looks like a verb, but it's not actually acting like one. It's acting like an adjective, so it's a participle. In the green sentence, I have an infinitive. I like to run. In this case, the infinitive is functioning as a noun. It's like the direct object. And then in the blue example, it says running is my hobby. And that's an example of a gerund because it ends in ing and it functions as a noun. And that's what we're focusing on today. So that's basically the definition of a gerund. It always ends in ing and it always acts as a noun. Now, if it has a helping verb in front of it, like I was running, then it becomes a verb. But if it's just a standalone functioning as a noun, like running is my hobby, that's when you have the gerund. Here are a couple other examples for you. So a simple gerund would be in green up here. Thinking is my favorite extracurricular activity. In this sentence, thinking is functioning as a noun, and it's actually the subject of my sentence. Thinking is the subject and is the predicate. It's just a single gerund because it's just the one word. But we can also start adding modifiers onto gerunds because since a gerund acts like a noun, that means that an adjective can modify it. Or in the blue example here, a prepositional phrase that's acting like an adjective can modify a gerund. So here I have in blue, thinking about sleep is my favorite extracurricular activity. Again, thinking is still the subject of my sentence and thinking is still a gerund, but now we look at the whole gerund phrase as including its modifiers, thinking about sleep. About sleep is modifying thinking because it's telling us what kind of thinking? Oh yeah, thinking about sleep, which is apparently what little pigs like to do also. So let's look at a couple examples. In this sentence, I've got one gerund phrase. According to researchers, apologizing for mistakes provides psychological benefits and often makes the apologizer feel better. Now, to help you figure out where the gerund is, it's important to break down the sentence to its core. We want to think about what's the subject and what's the predicate. So in this sentence, provides is our main predicate. And that can help us with the next sentence, which asks us what's the grammatical purpose of our gerund phrase. So in our sentence here, if provides is the predicate, we have to ask ourselves what's doing the providing, and it looks like apologizing is doing the providing. So apologizing is actually the gerund here, and it's functioning as the subject of the sentence. The entire phrase, apologizing for mistakes, includes that prepositional modifier at the end. And again, if you were to break it down to just kind of the nucleus of the sentence, apologizing is your subject, provides is your predicate, and that helps you see how the gerund is actually functioning as a noun. Here's another example. So in this sentence, I say, before signing with the Brooklyn Dodgers, Jackie Robinson played football for a semi-professional team in Hawaii. And again, we want to think about what's the grammatical purpose of the gerund phrase here. Well, again, we're looking for an ing word, right? And the only one I see here is signing. But let's make sure that it's actually functioning as a gerund. Remember that if a gerund is a noun, it can do all the things a noun could do. So in our last example, it was the subject of a sentence. But here, it looks like signing is following before, which is a preposition. So because it's a noun, it could also function like other nouns do as the object of a preposition. And that's exactly what it's doing here. So signing is our gerund, and signing is actually the object of the preposition before, but then it's even followed by another prepositional phrase with the Brooklyn Dodgers. So the whole gerund phrase is the underlined portion, signing with the Brooklyn Dodgers. In blue is just the prepositional phrase that's modifying signing. And if I were to do a 4-level analysis of this, I'd have that small blue prepositional phrase with the Brooklyn Dodgers, that's nestled within the larger gerund phrase, which is signing with the Brooklyn Dodgers, which is nestled within the even larger prepositional phrase of before signing with the Brooklyn Dodgers. So phrases can start to feel really layered, kind of like onions or Inception or something else complex like that. But again, they're a really cool way to add more interest and variety and information to our writing. So we'll do some more practice with these tomorrow in class.